Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. This is the second episode of my revived YouTube channel. My name is Shirley-Ann and this is Seasons of Grace and Learning, a space where I hope to build a community of people who love observing the seasons, embrace a simpler way of living, and really a place just to share my love of books, seasonal living, the seasons, crafting, and just keeping a home that is in line with all of those things. So welcome back to episode 2. I had wanted to be here, at least a week and a half ago, but if you've watched episode 1, you will know that we are opening a coffee shop in Chester. It is my husband's business and his dream. He's wanted to open a coffee shop for about 15 years and we finally are doing that. We hope to be open in June. So there's lots going on, a huge amount going on, lots of painting and renovating. My husband's been kept really busy. I've been trying to support him in that. When I can, when I'm not, busy with my own work. And it's coming along really nicely. We've got a social media manager who is managing our Instagram account. So if you want to take a peek and see what the progress is on in our coffee shop, you can follow us on Instagram at Roots Coffee Chester. And follow along and see what we're doing. But speaking of the coffee shop, a couple of weeks ago I went to a antiques and salvage market here in Cheshire. They hold the market once a month, absolutely beautiful. So I went to that market to see if I could find a couple of things. And I did. I found some lovely things that we are going to be using in the coffee shop. There's actually another vintage and salvage market coming up at the end of this month. So we still want to get a couple more things. Well, my husband wants to get a couple more things for the shop. So we're going to go and do that. But when I was there, I found some really gorgeous stands that, or vendors, that sold like French linens. Excuse me, I've got a bit of a cold, so that's why I'm sounding a bit croaky. Yeah, so selling, French linens. This is obviously, these are vendors that go over to France and bring back terracotta pots and all sorts of other sort of French things. Excuse me. So I want to get a couple of those things when we go, and because I've got a whole lot of ideas for our home with that sort of stuff and needlework and things like that. So, but I wanted to bring you along to in my last visit. It was such a gorgeous day. It was sunny. It started off really chilly. By the end of the day, it was so warm. But yeah, I filmed a little bit of content around my visit. So why don't you come along with me and see how I got on at the vintage market. I'm at the Cheshire Showgrounds on a lovely sunny Saturday morning, and I'm here to visit the Antiques and Salvage Market. And the reason why I am doing that is because, as I mentioned in my last podcast, we are opening a coffee shop in Chester. It will be called Roots. You can find us on Instagram as Roots Coffee Chester. There's nothing on that yet, but there will be. I'm just going to build up a bit of content. I'm speaking to our social media guy on Monday. But yeah, today I am at the antiques and salvage market to find some interesting bits and bobs for the coffee shop. So I'm on my own. My husband's playing golf today, how very dare he. And yeah, I thought it'd be fun to bring you along. So come along. That was quite a successful trip. I'm back in the car now. It is so warm. My car is saying that it's 23 degrees. Very, very warm out there. I wish I put a bit more sunblock on. I only put sunblock on my face today, so I suspect my arms are going to be burnt to a crisp. But a bit of summer colour doesn't hurt. Quite successful. I got a few pieces for the shop. It's difficult to go by yourself and make decisions on your own. So yeah, I don't think I would want to do that again. Definitely take my husband with me next time. So yes, thanks for coming with me, and back to the podcast. Well, I hope you enjoyed visiting the antiques and salvage market with me. It was lovely to just bring you along with me, and I'm so looking forward to going back at the end of May with my family. So yeah, I might film a little bit of content again, some of the things that I plan on getting and what I make from them. But I wanted to share with you something that I started recently. It's a course called The Complete Artist's Way, and this is it's a book that you can buy. I had it printed because I quite like to annotate and mark up, things that kind of spring out to me. And this is a course by the author Julia Cameron, and what this is really a way of reconnecting with the artist within. So I really have found that since I started studying law and I qualified and I was pursuing a career in that, which I'm not anymore, But I found that my creativity just was really put on a back burner. And when you don't participate and or allow yourself to get involved in arty and crafty things, you tend to lose your creativity. It's like you're not connected with it anymore. And so I was really finding that, and because I wasn't connected with that side of me anymore, I was just feeling really or kind of at sea. And I thought that I'd seen a couple of writers speaking about this course, and I'm definitely spending more time on my writing. I've got a couple of projects on the go, which is quite exciting. But I had heard a couple of them speaking about the artist's way and morning pages and artist dates and things like that. So I was quite interested in that, and I bought the PDF version so that I could print it. Like I said, I did that. I've since bought my eldest daughter the book. She preferred the book, so I bought that for her. And I've been doing this. So two of the things, it's a 12-week course, like I said. Two of the things that are non-negotiable in this course are something called morning pages. And that's each morning you get up and you essentially have free flow writing, just 3 pages of whatever's on your mind. It's almost like being able to just clear your mind. If there's things that you wanting to explore, or like, you know, often you're writing and a thought will sort of pop in your head, you write it down, you then explore that thought. And it's just a great way of, it's quite therapeutic. It's a great way of just getting clarity. So because I've always been a journaler, journaling is not something that's foreign to me. Journaling is part of my life. I do it anyway. But this kind of writing requires you to be a bit messy. So I just bought an ordinary A4 spiral bound notebook where I can simply just write without having to, because I love to decorate my journals and make them pretty, but this really is just about writing. It's a way of kind of notifying yourself of your dreams and of your dissatisfactions and of your hopes, and the mission with the pages, the morning pages, is really to try and retrieve your creativity, and you do so just by this free flow writing. And it's just almost like a stream of consciousness. It's whatever comes to mind, you just write. You don't read it back, you don't think about it, you just write. And I have found that just hugely revealing, and absolutely loving. You see, I couldn't actually go without not making something pretty, but this is me. So I find it just lovely to add things and kind of annotate, and I highlight my own writing as I go, because they're points that I want to remember going back. The second thing that the author recommends doing, that's a non-negotiable. So there's 2 non-negotiables in this course. The first is the morning pages, and the second is something called an artist date. Now, the artist date is really you putting yourself into a position to be inspired, whatever that is for you. So for some people, it could be visiting a gallery or a museum or a concert or a play. For other people, it could be a walk in nature. It could be a walk on the beach. It could be going to have an ice cream on the beach. Anything that just delights that childhood artist that is within you. That is, you know, that's what you do. It could be seeing an old movie, it could be a foreign language movie all on your own. And that's another thing, it has to be on your own. So it's not something that you do with somebody else. It is purely a date with yourself, doing something completely creative that inspires you. So initially I had because I love visiting galleries and museums and things like that. And I initially had penciled in a couple of things. It's just one artist date a week that you have to protect that time fiercely. And I penciled in a couple of things for a couple of weeks, and I ended up never going and not doing it, which was very frustrating. And in fact, the author of The Artist's Way speaks about that. She says you will find yourself resisting allowing yourself that time to go and do something completely frivolous, you know. And it's exactly what I did. I found that I was sort of saying, no, I can't afford that time to go and do that because I need to go and help in the shop. There's a lot going on, or I need to clean the house, or I need to, I don't know, I just found like a million excuses why I couldn't do it. And I kind of explored that in the morning pages, and I was very frustrated, and I thought, you know what, okay, what I'm going to do is my artist dates are, I'm going to keep really low key, and what I really want to do is to tackle some of the interests or the things that I've got pinned on Pinterest, because I've got over the years accumulated so many ideas and so many things that have inspired me, but I've never got around to actually doing them. You know, I've never got around to just setting aside the time, pulling out my paints or my fabrics or my threads or whatever, and making those things, making those projects. So I thought that's what I'm going to do, because I'm at home. It's easy for me to not make an excuse not to do those things, if that makes any sense. So that my first artist date was actually rearranging my office space, because my office has been very much geared towards my my legal work that I do, and almost void of that artist side of me. So I decided that my first date with myself was going to be reorganizing my office to make it more of a space that kind of serves the purposes that I have for it now, and for the way that I'm going forward, because I'm not pursuing a legal career anymore. It's just was making me unhappy. It's not me. So you know, I'm pursuing my writing now, and I'm working on a couple of books that I have got ideas, you know, had ideas for ages. So I'm really excited about that. But I'm also very much a creative, very much a knitter, sewer, you know, I love embroidery, things like that. So I wanted my studio to reflect that that side of me. I wanted it to be an inspiring place to be, and I wanted all of my fabrics and my crafts and things within easy reach, not tucked away behind law books. So I I spent the day rearranging the whole office and hanging up things that I love, like my shawls, that one that I knitted and one that I had my test knitter knit, and yeah, so that's what it looks like now. I will actually put some pictures on my blog, where you can have a look and see the makeover. But I just absolutely love it. There's still a few things that I want to do, and I've made some little sketches about things that I want to do. So I knitted up a whole lot of little jumpers using my yarn that I used to dye, and I want to make those into like little garlands that I hang up. So that is still to happen. But I've got my sewing machine out now, so that's permanently out, so that I can just, if I feel like I want to sew, I can just pull off the cover and sew, because there's so much less resistance if your tools are available to you than if you have to unpack them. So yes, so that was my first artist date. My second artist date was, I took myself off to Story House, which is our little local kind of movie playhouse, you know, where they put on small productions, and I went to watch a murder mystery. It was a very interactive play. That actually I went with my husband, and it was very spur of the moment, but my husband doesn't really like that kind of thing, and I said to him, I really want to go. It was a Saturday afternoon. I said, I really want to go tomorrow. I'm going to book a ticket. Do you want to come with me? And he said yes. And so we did go together. So I broke that rule about not, you know, taking someone with me, but we had so much fun. It was a lot of fun. I'm glad we did it. He's glad we did it. And yeah, it was just a fun thing to do. So that was my second artist date, and I've also made time during my week to get back into my journaling and kind of just keeping a record of these things. So it's been really, really fun. So one of the things that I did this week was went back through my Pinterest boards and found a rag wreath that I really wanted to make. I made one a year ago and absolutely loved the process of doing that, loved the result, and I have it hanging up in my house. I will get it a little bit later to show you after this next insert that I've filmed. But I had wanted to make another rag wreath after my first experiment, and never got around to doing it. So I thought, well, this week my artist date is going to be time to just sit down, cut the fabric strips, and make this wreath, which I did. So I'm gonna stop talking now and let's hop on over to the content that I've filmed of me just making that wreath, and I shall see you back here very soon. So I finished my wreath. I absolutely love the way that it's turned out. I think I want to hang it here in the conservatory, just because I think it looks so nice and cheery. So that was so much fun. I really enjoyed making that wreath. I thought I would, first of all, just before I tell you how to make it, this is the first wreath that I made, the first rag wreath that I made last year, around about this time last year. Loved how that turned out. This one that I've just finished is slightly bigger, because once I had made this one, I knew that I was going to be making more, so I bought a whole lot of frames, about 5 frames I think it was, and this is slightly bigger, but I quite like this one because it's got 4 circles that make up the frame, so you're able to do more of a basket weave method. So the way that you make these is you cut your fabric into strips of between 1 inch and 1.5 inches wide, and I made each strip 8 inches long, and you simply, it's a single knot. You just tie a single knot in a basket weave. Let me just see if I can get here. So I would start with the 2 middle, tying a strip of fabric around the 2 middle pieces of wire, and then I would tie another one on from the middle to the end, the 2 inner circles, and then on the 2 outer circles. So you end up having this basket weave effect, and then you just then you use your next color, and then every blue round that I did, I then put a little bit of raffia after that, so that we have just a bit of texture coming through. So very, very easy to do. It's just tying single knots. It's not no double knots or anything like that, and the cutting is quite therapeutic as well. So there we go. If you want a easy craft to do that's got quite a bit of impact, rag wreaths, very, very easy. The other thing that I have done of late, which inspires me, is I have moved my journaling back into my traveler's notebooks. I bought these years ago. I have I've got about 4, I think. And what these are, they're essentially just little leather covers, and you can put in multiple notebooks. So if you just have a look at this one, this is my Traveler's Train edition, and I have a little paper clip over here, and I put a little charm on the elastic. The little elastic keeps it closed, and then my daughter, when I got them, she put on little beads on the bookmarks. You can see there, which made them quite nice. So this one I use as a bit of a creative journal. I have, let me just take that off. I've got 2 notebooks in this one. The first one it's a diary, so it's a week to view on one side, and then you've got notes on the other side. And what I use this one for is really just to be documenting I've actually called this the first notebook Chicken Soup for the Writer's Soul. And it's just something that inspires me for my writing. I've got quotes, and I decorate the pages quite nicely. Quotes that sort of inspire me as a writer. I have documented my artist dates in here. So here, that's when I went to the murder mystery play. And then the next one is we went last year, actually. We visited a gorgeous themed kind of cocktail lounge called Mr. Fogg's Apocryphy in London when we were there. So I wanted to just remember that. It was so much fun. If you're ever in London, definitely do that. Yeah, and here was my admission ticket to the Vintage Fair. So I've put that in there. This was a book that I finished that week, The Double Turn. I shared that with you in the last video. Very good book. Loved that. So finished that book. This was another artist date I made. It was literally just half an hour. I wanted to make a little folder with pockets for my passport size traveler's notebook, which I did. So I just kind of wrote about that, and I made a mini version so that, you know, I could just document that. So yeah, that's what's in that traveler's notebook. And then this one, I'm going to sit up again. Just trying to maneuver myself around so you can see. This one I carry in my handbag. Again, it's just like thoughts that pop into my mind. Here's that little folder that I told you I made. It's got little pockets that I can keep ticket stubs or just like little things that I've come across. I've just got stickers in there at the moment. There's 3 notebooks in this one. This is just my writer's ideas book. I often, as a writer, will have book ideas or content ideas that perhaps I want to remember. A thought will come into my mind. If I don't write it down, I'm not going to remember it. It's just the other side of that little wallet. This is, I'm intending it to be my daily art, like sketch journal. I haven't got anything in there yet. And then the last one is just my artist dates on the go. So if I go to a gallery or something like that and I want to just make some quick notes, it's going to be in there, and then I would do the fun decorative stuff in there a bit later. So thoroughly enjoying being back in my traveler's notebooks. The next bit of creative work that I'm busy with is, it has been, gosh, more than a year since I picked up my knitting needles, and I again just determined to get back to doing the things that I really loved. So I got my knitting basket out, where the cat had actually fallen asleep in it once, so there's cat hair all over the place. But I've picked up these mitts, these little mittens that I was working on. They're lacy fingerless gloves. And I am knitting this for my eldest daughter. She had I knit her a pair, a grey pair, years and years ago. And she absolutely loved them. I must say they are nice, and it's the yarn that I use as well. I use Drops, which is 100% wool, and they're just so lovely and thick and warm. They're just perfect for cold winter days. Anyway, she was distraught when she left them somewhere. I don't know if they fell out of her pocket or what happened, but anyway, they've gone. And she said, "Please, will you knit me another pair?" So I am busy doing that. I have finished one already. Well, I have almost finished it. I've still got the thumb gusset to do. But there's the first mitt. And I have cast on, and I've now just finished the cuff of the second one. So that's what I'm busy knitting at the moment. I kind of just, if I have an hour or so in the day, I will sit down and maybe watch a podcast that I enjoy and just work on the mittens. So I hope to have those little fingerless gloves done pretty soon for her, and definitely by the next time I record the next episode. So I shall show you what those are, my progress on those. And then finally I want to move on to my next segment, which is the books that I am reading. So join me for that. So I'm listening to a podcast at the moment called Warm Pages. And Warm Pages is essentially an audio book. Someone is reading the Miss Marple stories, Agatha Christie's Miss Marple. And I thought that I really knew the Miss Marple and the Poirot stories. I've read the Poirot books, but I haven't actually read any of the Miss Marple books. I've only sort of watched the BBC's, sort of series on Miss Marple. But what struck me in listening to the Warm Pages podcast is that there is a lot about Miss Marple that you miss, that is not conveyed in someone else's interpretation of her through, and the episodes are brilliant. I love them and I watch them over and over again. But there really is no match to actually reading the books yourself. And I realized when listening to this podcast, like I said, that I was getting an interpretation of Miss Marple, someone else's interpretation. And there were lots of things, the way that Agatha Christie writes about Miss Marple, like the way she reacts to people, or, her inner thought process, that is missed. You don't get that when you're watching the production. So I have really decided that I am going to, this year in 2026, I am going to be reading the Miss Marple books, Agatha Christie's Miss Marple books, for myself. So I bought 2 books. I usually buy my copies from the World of Books, which is a second-hand book dealer. The reason why I do that is I often, not always, but often prefer the more vintage covers. So I bought the 13 Problems, Agatha Christie's 13 Problems, and this is, I'm just going to read the back. It says, one Tuesday evening, a group gathers at Miss Marple's house, and the conversation turns to unsolved crimes. As each of her guests is mystified by the sinister tales they tell one another, the company is inclined to forget their elderly host. But there is a ruthless precision in Miss Marple's pursuit of the killers in each tale, and a few surprises in store for the Tuesday night club. So I am looking forward to that, the 13 Problems. And then the other book that I bought is Agatha Christie, Miss Marple's The Complete Short Stories. And there are 20 short stories in this volume. We have a couple of stories from the 13 Problems, so a little bit of repetition there, but that's okay. And then we have some stories from Miss Marple's Final Cases. Agatha Christie wrote a significant number of books, as you may be aware. And yes, I'm looking forward to actually reading about Miss Marple rather than just kind of getting someone else's interpretation of her. So looking forward to that. The other thing that I'm enjoying is I am a huge Enid Blyton fan. I absolutely loved her books as a child. They were significant in my life, and it was reading her books that made me want to be a writer one day. And I just feel that my imagination was fed on her stories. So I joined the Enid Blyton Society, which anybody can join. I think it's about 10 or 15 pounds for the year. And it is a society of people who absolutely love Enid Blyton, and you get a quarterly journal. So I got, when I joined up, which I only joined up I think in December, but I got a copy of their summer 2025 journal. I then got the winter 2025 journal. That's when I signed up. And then this arrived this week, which is the spring 2026 journal. And in these journals is just, you know, some sort of essays on maybe some of the history of some of her books. So places that she wrote about, people that she wrote about. So for instance, in the winter edition, we have a little essay about like Enid Blyton's life before she became a mom, before she got married. She was a governess, and some of the children that she taught were inspiration for some of her characters in her book. So they're beautifully sort of illustrated. I mean, sometimes the copy can be repetitive. It's a self-published little magazine, but it's just full of information about the author. Some of the people will write stories about, you know, some of her characters. So we have little seasonal stories about children, you know, some of the children's characters that we know. And it's just really, really lovely. I mean, there's quite a lot in there as well. So they're not like these skinny little, you know, journals. They're quite, there's a lot to get through. So I really enjoy those. So if you are an Enid Blyton fan, have a little Google the Enid Blyton Society, and yeah, I would definitely say that it's a real treat to get these in the mail each quarter. And then the other books that I have pulled from my bookshelf that I am rereading because I just love them are they're actually recipe books, but they are recipe books, and they're South African recipe books, so recipes from South Africa, and they are books combined with stories. So these are it's a fictitious town in Karoo, which is a part of South Africa, and they are, so you have little tales about the various characters that live in this village and the recipes that they cook. And it's just so, I just love it. It's a really unique way of writing a cookbook, that it's a cookbook and kind of a little bit of a fun novel, what, you know, at the same time. So much fun. So this is the first in the series. It's Fig Jam and Foxtrot. And then the second in the series is The Return to Corrie Bush. The author is Lynn Bedford Hall. And again, the book is beautifully illustrated with little sketches throughout. So for instance, the first story is called Betsy. It's all about Betsy, and we have a little story about who she is. We're introduced to her, and then we have Betsy's recipes that she likes. And the first recipe is mushroom leek and barley broth. So we have that recipe, and we have butternut and sweet potato soup, curry butter jacket potatoes, all sorts of things. And yeah, it's just, I just love it. If you're looking for a recipe book with a little bit of a difference, check it out. See if you can get it on Amazon or World of Books. Fig Jam and Foxtrot, and you will need to read this to find out what Foxtrot is. And Return to Corrie Bush. So I can highly recommend both those books if you're looking for something fun. And then finally, my final book that I'm enjoying And this I'm just sort of enjoying as a bit of a coffee table book, is Beatrix Potter's Gardening Life. And it is a book all about the plants and the places that inspired her children's stories, her little, her life. Beautifully illustrated as well. We have photographs, we have some of her work, we have photographs from her family photo album, and then of course there are her famous watercolors. Beautiful book if you are a Beatrix Potter fan like I am. And yeah, we just have like the opening chapter is Beatrix Potter and her life as a gardener. We all know that she loved to garden. That's where her tales of Peter Rabbit, and if you've ever visited Hilltop Farm, absolutely gorgeous garden. It is inspirational to any gardener. So I really highly recommend getting this book. It's just so beautiful to page through and read on a rainy afternoon like today. I can't get out into the garden today. It's been raining on and off, so I think after I have finished recording this episode and uploading it, I might enjoy a cup of tea, because my throat is feeling very sore now after all this talking. A cup of tea, and perhaps read a couple of pages of Beatrix Potter's Gardening Life. So thank you so much if you've made it this far. This has definitely been a longer episode than I thought, but so lovely to connect with you again, and thank you for tuning in. And like I said, if you've made it this far, thank you for staying with me. If you enjoyed this episode, would you please consider subscribing to my channel and hit the notification button so that you are notified when a new episode is uploaded. And I'm going to leave it there for today, but I look forward to seeing you again very, very soon. Hopefully my voice will be in better form, and I hope that you all have a fantastic week until I see you in 2 weeks' time.